You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-host Alex. Kevin's got a little JOB thing going on tonight. We'll probably see him back here later on here in a little bit. But Alex, how are we doing tonight?
Well, we're good. It's mixed emotions, right? We're 2-1 on the weekend in the three leagues that I most care about. I picked up a win in the home league. Sorry, Derek. I picked up a win in my work league, and I lost. Kind of frustratingly lost in the league that I'm in with my high school buddies. Lost by 10 points to the number one overall seed. The guy's 12-1. I had kind of been schlepping my way through that league. Made the playoffs as the 4 seed. We do 2-week playoffs in that. Made the playoffs as a 4 seed and lost by 10 points. Needed a decent game out of Sam Darnold on Monday night to get me a win, and I did not get a good enough game out of Sam Darnold. It was good enough for the Vikings to win, which they've got to be the surprise of the NFL this year. I don't think anybody saw this coming, especially when they drafted a quarterback in the first round, and they still have an outside shot at that division, which includes the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers, who are playing really well too. But didn't get a good enough effort out of Sam Darnold, so I lost there. But still alive in the home league. Put up a monster score that actually I put up so large of a score that it prompted my opponent to go back through the history books of the league to see how historic of a score I put up. And I will let my opponent if he cares to share.
You make it sound like there was a lot of work in that. That was literally hitting the league history, scrolling down all-time high scores there. That
it prompted you to do it.
It did. Well, it was one of those that's so right in our home league, right? Like we play these very inflated scorings, all of that. But typically in the home league during the regular season, right? Like to the point where if you put up 450 points during a regular season game, that'll typically win you the week, right? Yeah. Like if you're putting up 450, you're going to be walking out of there with a win typically, right? If you get to 500, typically assured of a victory on that. If you get to 550, like you usually have just completely boat raced and mud stomped everybody else and your opponent in the league, right? Well, I put up 562 in that league and still managed to lose with a 562. So I was curious as to what that kind of looked like, and kind of going back through and looking at it. By the way, for reference, 562 points in that league would put that as probably a top 15 all-time high score in the league. Like you're thinking if you in the playoffs you put up a top 15 all-time highest score, you probably won, right? No, wrong. Because your opponent that you played put up 602 points and put up the third highest score in league history. Like not just this season, going back the entirety of the league history there, which at this point is in its 18th season. Like that's how historic the matchup you and I had this week. That I don't know that there's been another matchup in the history of the league that has gotten that many points produced in a single contest. So, but it is what it is, right? And it was one of those that neither one of us left points on the bench. Like it's not often that you get to sit there and you get to look at it and go, man, if I'd started this, I could have won.
I'm going through a little bit of internet issues.
I could tell it was a little bit choppy there,
and truth be told, you should have won. You should have won. Hopefully my internet, we'll get the bunny ears out here and see if that helps. It knows that I'm thinking about switching. The internet knows that I'm ready to get off of this service provider. So I didn't catch all of what you said there, Derek, but we were texting kind of as the weekend was unfolding. There were other matchups that you literally would have beat everybody else in the league by a wide margin. By
at least 50
wide
points.
margin, you would have beat everybody else in the league.
The next highest score was 50 points behind.
Sometimes, as I said to you, yeah, as I said to you, sometimes you get, and sometimes you get got. And this was Derek's turn to get got, I guess.
Right.
I've been on the receiving end of that, what feels like a ton, where I've been the one that got. And I mean, it is frustrating. I get it, especially because the number one seed kind of scraped by with a 17-point win.
And really, that all came down to the
matchups,
the goofiness of the defense special team scoring on that one.
Of our defensive scoring.
Yeah, it's like that was.
But yeah, it was a thrilling week. It was hanging on for dear life, hoping that Bijan Robinson and Drake London wouldn't put up the monster games that I received from some of my players. To put that in perspective, I got 92 points out of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I got 50 points out of Malik Neighbors. I got 77 points out of Mike Evans. My receiving core, which had been a weakness of mine all year, delivered because both of my quarterbacks put up just absolute duds. Tua Tagovailoa had what did he put up? He had less than 200 yards passing, threw 3 interceptions, lost a fumble, got sacked 3 times. CJ Stroud only completed 18 passes for 131 yards. Also lost a fumble and got sacked 4 times. Like, those 2 dudes did everything they could to try and derail this playoff run. But everybody else kind of stepped up and helped lead that charge for me.
To put that in perspective, right? Jaden Daniels, who I started as one of the quarterbacks, almost outscored both of your quarterbacks single-handedly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you got an extra 40 out of Kyler. So, like, that's also a disappointing number out of him, if we're being honest. It's a disappointing number out of Kyler, who was projected 55. So he under-delivered for you. But, man, happy to be moving on. Realize that I am in a tough situation. I'll be facing Kevin in the next round. So how it shook out, we all but assured that somebody from this podcast was going to be in the championship. And it just shook out that it'll be me and Kevin deciding that as we move forward. But there have been there's massive news out of the NFL this week that could have some, probably not a ton, but could have some fantasy implications moving forward. And it's to do with pretty high profile positions. A lot of quarterback stuff happening over the last 24 hours.
Let's there's a ton there, and I want to spend some time there. We do have a couple of folks with some questions out there. Let's go ahead and hit those up here real quick, and we'll come back to the quarterback news here.
Sounds good.
All righty. So Arturo over on YouTube asking, can I trust Kelsey this week?
I mean, have you been able to trust him all year? It's been rough. That's a Saturday game, so it's a short week. Houston also on a short week. The game's in Kansas City, but man, is Patrick Mahomes going to play? Kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the quarterback stuff,
right?
Is Patrick Mahomes going to play? Now, I will tell you this, and this is what you might be able to take from this. Carson Wentz, should he be the one that plays, loves to throw it to a pass-catching tight end. Loves a pass-catching tight end. Dating back to his days in college, he loved a pass-catching tight end. When he was in Philadelphia, who did he have as pass-catching tight ends?
Zach Ertz
and Dallas Goedert. He had both of them, and both of those guys were good and useful and resourceful. So I think if it is Carson Wentz, he is going to go for what he knows is reliable. So will it be Travis Kelce? Probably. I don't think he's not a huge risk taker, and I don't think he wants to screw anything up. So I'm going to say you can trust Kelce this week. I started this off thinking that you might not to, but I'm going to say you can. And that Houston defense is pretty stout, but if it's Carson Wentz that's under center, like I like Kelce maybe a little bit more than I do if Patrick Mahomes is under center.
Yeah. I mean, Arturo, it really depends on what your other options are, right? Like I get it. You would have taken Kelce in a higher draft capital position. His averaging about 8 points a week. Certainly hasn't gotten the job done to this point. The several weeks in a row without a touchdown and Noah Gray getting touchdowns kind of in that in that time span, and several of those performances where it's not even really usable for fantasy. Like I get all of that there, but there is so much that comes down to what the other option are, right? Like if your other option is to roll out Austin Hooper, okay, I'm going to take the Kelce train there, right? But if you're debating between Travis Kelce and a TJ Hawkinson, Tucker Kraft, like okay, where there's some things that okay maybe we could look a little different there, but it very much depends on what your other options are. But unless you've got a better option, you're starting him.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right, Mario over on YouTube. Good evening, fellas. 3 weeks ago, shared how they dropped Deebo Samuel. The team that picked him up lost their playoff week in part due to Deebo's poor performance in week 15. Yep, that is the landmine strategy right there.
Yes, and to that end, though, basically everybody who played in that Thursday night game had a poor performance. Like that was bad. I think we were all kind of looking, you go into the first week of the playoffs, you think, okay, we've got San Francisco, we've got the Rams, two decent offenses that we think are going to do things. And like how many fantasy owners, Kevin's one of them, were just like, I'm starting the week with a 0. I got a 0 out of Cooper Kupp. I got minimal points out of Kyron Williams. Like Matt Stafford did not have. Brock Purdy had a terrible game. Like Deebo is not great. Like that whole Thursday night, I think myself included, because I had Kyron.
And Kyron did well for you.
He did do well for me, yes. And he did okay in other leagues that I had him. But it was like, oh no, like it did not give me the feel good that I wanted after that Thursday night game. So good for you, Mario, for planting that landmine and letting somebody else jump on that. I still have Deebo Samuel on my roster. He's been firmly planted on my bench, but I might be in a position, depending on how injuries and things shake out, where he might have to make an appearance for me in week 16. And I hope that whatever he was suffering in week 15 and the previous couple of weeks, that he has shaken that, because I may need Deebo Samuel if I want to stay alive in the home league.
Yeah. But Mario, good on you on that one, being able to make that pivot. And it's sometimes tough to move on from some of the name power for sure.
Yeah.
Chandler over on YouTube, pick one: Purdy, Bo Nix, Aiden O'Connell, Michael Penix, Max Jones, or Drake May. Purdy has burned me too many times this season. I'm worried about Nix with this week 6-point passing touchdowns.
All right, so let's look at these matchups kind of individually. The Broncos are playing in LA on a short week with Bo Nix. That LA defense, not terrible. That's going to be that's a tough game for both of those teams. That's a tough game. Nix has been good, but he's also shown that he can turn the ball over.
Right.
Next is AOC.
They got Las Vegas and
Las Vegas is hosting the Jaguars. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Penix making his first start. I have a feeling they're gonna keep the game plan a little simple. I think it's crazy that Kirk Cousins goes and wins a game and then gets benched. They are playing the Giants, so if you are going to start a rookie, that's a team to do it against, right?
Yeah. I mean, were you able to watch any of that game last night?
I don't know about.
I mean, it's pretty bad with like watching Cousins go out there and do it. Like, did not have any confidence going at all in that one, and it certainly showed. Right, like that should have been a get right game for the passing attack, and it just plain wasn't. And looks like Alex might be having a little bit of technical difficulties there.
If I'm back, I'm going to jump out and try and come back in and see if that helps.
All right, that works.
Carry the show for a second, Derek.
All right, we'll do. So, Chandler, to kind of go through this a little bit further, a little bit deeper on this one, right? Like, I get the Brock Purdy side of things and the kind of the leeriness and the not wanting to necessarily risk that in a Week 16 playoff matchup on that one. Like, I get that. The matchup isn't a bad matchup, right? They've got Miami. I do think that, Brock Purdy is probably going to be around a top 12 quarterback when the rankings kind of shake out there. Bo Nix, I think, is probably in that same vein as far as kind of a top 6 or top 12 quarterback. My apologies there. And Bo Nix was a top 10 quarterback the last time the Broncos played the Chargers. Now, this one's on the road, short week. Could be a little bit different. Usually when you see these teams, divisional teams square up second time in the season, a little bit more of a grinded out type of matchup there. So, I could see it, and it could definitely be very interesting there. I don't want any part of that Vegas passing attack and that Vegas offense, right? Like, this is one of those that the last two drives kind of overshadowed a lot. Like the final score and the final stat line on that kind of outshadowed how bad the offense was for, what was that, 57 minutes of football. Like, it was really bad for 95% of that game. And then all of a sudden they put together two drives. I don't want any part of Vegas. Penix, I get it, right? Like, we just saw Atlanta go through and win a game where Kirk Cousins had 12, 14 passing attempts, something like that, and they almost lost that game, right? Like, Mac Jones, I don't want to trust Mac Jones. So
I don't want any part of that Jacksonville Las Vegas game, because I have a feeling it's going to look really similar to the Atlanta Las Vegas game, right? Like, I don't know that I want any part of that. So keep me away from Mac Jones. Keep me away from AOC. Penix is interesting. Penix is intriguing because you don't know what you're getting, right? But I think this really comes down to Purdy and Nix. The Dolphins defense can give up points. I think you wait for that. So I think I go Purdy here.
Yeah. And I could see it. Like I said, I think Purdy will probably be the higher ranked QB when it's all said and done when the rankings come out. But this is one of those that if you're not feeling that one and you're not a fan of a couple of the weeks, right? Like, Purdy, out of his last 5 starts, has either been really good or really bad, right? Like with the
Yeah.
QB5, QB12, QB7 finishes for the good weeks. But on the bad weeks, QB31, QB32, right? Like those were really,
bad.
really just
Yeah.
bad. Which I think one of those weeks was Buffalo in the snow. Snow game between the Niners and the Bills there. And then this last Thursday night game in the rain that was just, yuck fest.
Yeah.
Miami, I don't think you're going to have that issue there. But if you want to go somebody other than Purdy, Nick's would be the guy that I would go with.
Yeah. Drake May's going up against the Bills this week, and I don't want any part of that Bills defense either.
Right. Although they did just give up 42
to Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Fair enough. So
to a Lions team that's been putting up points. So
it's true. All righty. Chandler also asking Strange or Schultz this week.
You can start on that one.
I'm going to take Britton Strange. Right? Like Schultz going up against Kansas City. Yeah, those are matchups that typically don't get beyond about 20 points on either side there. So I'm not a super big fan of playing that one there, but Bretton Strange, they are going up against Las Vegas. So it's a plus matchup there. And we've seen Bretton Strange when Evan Ingram's been out get work in that offense. So I would lean on the Strange side of things. Any other thoughts there?
I think. I mean, I just got done saying I didn't want any part of that Jacksonville Las Vegas game. But I think if it's Strange or Schultz, give me Strange.
Okay.
Schultz has been okay. The Chiefs defense has been all right, but Strange probably has a better game against the Vegas defense.
Okay. All righty. Chandler also asking Falcons, Packers, Ravens, Broncos for the defense. Pick one.
I am torn on the Broncos this week. That defense, it's hard to, poo-poo a team that just forced 5 turnovers. But I think they're facing a much better team.
Ravens are my last team that I'm ordering, by the way.
Ravens at home against the Steelers. I don't know that I like that. Packers play Monday night, right?
They've got New Orleans
home
this
against
week.
The Saints. That's a strong contender. I think I'd go. How about the Falcons have New York? Ugh.
Right.
At home. I think I go Falcons, then Packers.
And I think I'm a little bit on the other side of that, right? I think I'm going to go Packers, Falcons, Broncos, Ravens in that order. Green Bay, right? They're going up against New Orleans that, depending upon who New Orleans decides to roll out at quarterback, that could make a big difference, right? If it's Hafner, strap yourself in for a great defensive game on the Packers side of things. But if it's Spencer Rattler, you could get a little bit wild and crazy there, right? Like we saw some spark when he came in. Atlanta, again, they just came off of a massive performance, probably overperformed a little bit against the against the Raiders last night. And the Giants aren't much better, right? The Giants are also not a very good football team here. So again, some of that depends on who the Giants are going to decide to roll out there. But I think I still lean the Packers. That's kind of that first option there. Any other thoughts there?
I could be talked into the Packers. Like it's 6 of one, half dozen of another for Packers Falcons for me.
Right. I mean, realistically, I think both of those are top 5 defenses for week 16. So I don't have a problem either way. I just probably lean Packers myself. So, alrighty.
Plus,
What was it?
that's outside in Lambeau. It's going to be cold as hell. Could be a tough day.
Right.
So maybe Packers. I'll lean Packers there.
There we go. Okay. Kev over on YouTube saying tempted to play Strange over Kelsey. That's
I don't know that I'm that high on Strange.
I mean, I get the sentiment, right? Brenton Strange has had some good performances, but I'm kind of right there with you, Alex. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to look to play Brenton Strange over Kelsey, but I can certainly understand the temptation on that one. So, Kev over on YouTube saying that they kind of sounds like they echo your sentiments that if Wentz plays, almost feel better about Kelsey.
So. The dude feeds tight ends. Like he loves to feed a tight end. So.
Right. So I like it. Kev over on YouTube asking Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Nico London, pick 3.
The first 3. Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Nico.
Right. I want to see what this Falcons offense looks like with Michael Penix under center before I'm really trusting anybody outside of Bijan Robinson for fantasy. Yep. So, and if I can pivot off of Drake London and I've got options like Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Nico Collins, that is going to be the route that I roll.
Yep.
So awesome. CJ over on YouTube asking Falcons, Bills, Detroit, or Cincy defense. A lot of defense questions tonight.
A lot of defensive questions. All right. Detroit is at Chicago. But man, Detroit's defense, they've got 15 dudes on the injury report. Just on that defense alone is the last number I saw. Detroit has been just decimated by injuries. Cincinnati playing the Browns. The Browns, another team that has said we're going to start a different quarterback this week. I think I like Cincinnati out of those 4.
Yeah, I could certainly see it. I mean, this is kind of a really good spot to be in. I think all of these defenses have probably top 8 weeks when it's all said and done. If I'm ranking them, I'm probably gonna go Bills, Falcons, Cincinnati, Detroit in kind of that order.
Oh, okay. So I'm very, very different from you.
So, I mean, the Bills, they get New England, right? New England, who knows how close they are to just kind of packing this one up. The Bills have certainly had the New England's number the last few seasons. So
I give you the weather report right now, and it's still a few days away, but it says it's going to be 19 degrees on Sunday there in Buffalo, or Orchard Park, I should say.
And if they're temperatures that are typically 20 degrees or less, tend to favor defense in low-scoring affairs. So kind of like that one, right? The Falcons, after that massive performance they just had, going up against the Giants, who, right, the Giants are giantsing.
All over the place.
Cincinnati, I like that. The fact that they're going to get DTR to go into that thing, which
that's what
I just don't see Cleveland moving the ball like at all.
Yeah.
And then Detroit is down there where it is just because they're so banged up. If they were a healthy unit, they'd probably be further up the list for me.
Yeah, so I'm leaning. I would lean Cincinnati as my top pick.
Okay. Well, there you go, CJ. So a bit of a split decision, but you've got kind of the
clear as mud there.
Yeah, you've got the split decision, but you've got the reasoning that we both gave, and you can kind of see which one resonates with you. All right, Derek over on YouTube. PPR, start 1, tight end Henry at Buffalo, Kincaid versus New England, Strange at Las Vegas.
Well, since the weather's going to be apparently terrible up in the Northeast this weekend, and that game's going to be cold there in Buffalo. Strange is playing inside. I like that. I think I lean Strange by a hair just because the weather shouldn't be a factor.
Oh, and this one here, they're probably all going to be right around.
Yeah, they're all right next to each other, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, when starting to kind of look and rank these things out and project them out, I probably have these guys within about a half point of each other when it's all kind of said and done there, and they're all kind of flirting back end, tight end one. So it's going to come down to ultimately which of these tight ends finds a tutty. And so if you have a strong inclination, Derek, if Henry's a touchdown scorer, Kincaid's a touchdown scorer, or Strange is the touchdown scorer, that's the route that I would roll on that one. But yeah, if it's me, I'd probably lean the Strange side of things here. But yeah, at that point, I'd say if you've got an inkling that one of those three is going to score a touchdown, that would be the guy that I would roll, because that's going to be what separates that out there. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right. Michael over on YouTube, full point PPR. One running back, one flex. Choices are Walker if he plays, Charbonnet, Bucky, or Thielen.
Man, I think you have to go Bucky. I mean, Bucky Irving has been kind of the featured back. Now I know he got the same amount of carries as Rachaad White last week, and the Bucks put up a monster number. They have been putting up some big numbers this year. That Bucks offense. I think I lean Bucky here. They're playing the Cowboys, at Dallas, which has been a very good place for visiting teams this year. Seahawks, Minnesota at home. Yeah, I'm Bucky here.
Yeah, at that point, I'm going to play whichever Seattle running back is full to go on that one, right?
Right. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that it was one running back, one flex. Yeah, give me the healthy Seattle running back and then Bucky.
All right, so if Walker plays, you're going Walker. But if not, you've got the pivot right there to Charbonnet, so I like that one. And then I'm leaning Bucky as far as the other option in that one. I do think that you're going to see some good things there, right? Plus kind of matchup. Carolina, like I get, we've seen a little bit of a resurgence out of Adam Thielen, lately, but yeah, this is one of those that's, I just don't know that I want to necessarily kind of trust that one there, right? Like Adam Thielen's got to get the volume play to get that done, and really to have a good week for fantasy is going to have to find the end zone. So I think that Bucky gets a better volume play and better chance to find some end zones there.
Yeah.
Chandler saying thank you. And Swaggy over on YouTube saying, love the channel. Unfortunately, the Stevenson over Rachaad White call cost me the season as I lost by 2 points. Love the channel. Keep up the good work. LOL. So that stinks.
Sorry, Swaggy. That does stink. I'm trying to go back and see what those scores were for those two guys, because Rachaad White had a decent game. He got 15 carries, but he put up did he find the end zone? I'm trying to find it did not find the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, it was
he got a passing touchdown. That's what separated him. He got a receiving touchdown in that game. Yeah, sometimes, man, like it's hard to predict touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, the Ramondre Stevenson side of things certainly didn't pan out there, right? Like, some of the volume was there. Both of those guys receiving similar workloads to it, but yeah, that touchdown certainly carried the day on that one there. So
That's the downside of it.
yeah, it's
When
unfortunate.
the guy finds the end zone, that stinks.
That is unfortunate, and those are the ones that kind of kill me because I'm that I'm never a fan of is the given the bad calls on that one. So
yeah, hate that you lost.
Yeah. Kev over on YouTube saying full point PPR lost Monty, so going back to Brees, Cup, Hill, Higgins, Wilson, pick 3.
Well, Garrett Wilson, like, is he still in the doghouse with Aaron Rodgers? I saw he had an outburst. I know that Sir Rodgers doesn't appreciate when you speak up to him. Cup, I think, bounces back.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure Sir Rodgers would also appreciate, finding his receivers and putting points on the board and all of that. But that's beside the point.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think Cup bounces back. I think that was an anomaly game, right?
Yep.
Like that's tough. Hill, man, as someone who lost, one of the leagues I lost in, it was because I played Tyreek Hill over Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm thinking that with DK in, it wouldn't be that, like, JSN wouldn't put up that great of a week, but he did. He put up enough that it would have made a difference for me. Man, I don't know about Hill. Like, that's tough. I think your two that I feel comfortable with are Cup and Higgins. I don't know about Hill or Wilson. Like, that's a tough spot. Hill going up against that Niners defense
that hasn't been Niners-esque at all.
Yeah. But man, Tyreek Hill hasn't been Tyreek Hill at all.
At all, yeah. I mean, I think you and I are in alignment, right? With saying both Cup and Higgins, right? Like, those are the two starts there. And then it comes down to Hill and Wilson. And those are really coin flips for me, right? Like, I probably, when my rankings are done, I'm probably going to have Tyreek Hill slightly over Garrett Wilson. But I mean, both of these guys, it's really a race. If you're, talking full point PPR, it's really a race to 15, 16 points here.
Yeah.
And so,
man, I'll tell you what, the weather's going to be a lot nicer in South Beach than it will be up in New Jersey. So
it's true.
This time of year, that is a factor. I think I will lean Hill and just hope that.
Although isn't that game with Wilson and the Jets in SoFi?
No, it's at MetLife. It's at East Rutherford.
I don't believe so, because I think the Giants are home this week as well.
The Giants are on the road at Atlanta. Am I looking at the wrong week? No, I'm at the right week. The Giants are in Atlanta.
Okay. Fair enough. Yep, I'm just reading it wrong. That's a me bad. So yeah,
I lean Hill.
Yeah, and it's close. Like it's close enough to be a coin flip for me. So
I plug in whatever guy you plug in. Say whatever you say to whatever deity you want to say it to, and hope for the best.
Right. So, and then Michael saying that over on YouTube saying, awesome guys, appreciate it, love listening. Well, we appreciate you tuning in.
Thanks, Michael.
And then Swaggy over on YouTube saying it's okay. They don't have a Hall of Shame, and Stevenson is the first member of it. And he lost every game that he played him in. But hey, that's how fantasy goes. It sometimes can be. So that is unfortunate. Any other thoughts on this one, Alex?
I saw a great tweet. Yeah, and again, I'm having some weird connection stuff, so I apologize. But I saw a great tweet that was somebody said that they were watching, the Atlanta Las Vegas game on pins and needles, and they wish that they could go back in time and strangle the guy that invented fantasy football, because it's not very fun.
Oh man. Chris over on YouTube, down 20 points after week 1 of 2 for the semifinals. Njoku, Ertz, or at tight end, B-Rob, Jonathan Taylor, Guerrero, or Sutton at the flex. Tight end, I'd lean the
Njoku's tough because they replaced the quarterback.
And Zach Ertz has been, very serviceable, right? Like
Pretty
Zach
reliable. Jaden Daniels, yeah.
But I know Zach Ertz also left that game early as well, and is in the concussion protocol. So at that point, Chris, that decision may get made pretty easy. If Ertz isn't able to go, then he's not able to go, and we've certainly seen guys not, we've seen a lot of guys miss time being in the protocol there. So I would keep the keep the injury alerts and keep scanning that. If Ertz plays, I'd rather play the Ertz side of things. I think you've got a safer floor there. Njoku, potential pop there, but I don't want to trust DTR to deliver the pop on that one. Any other thoughts at tight end?
No, you got to play who's healthy. I like Ertz more than I like Njoku, but I think that decision might get made for you.
Right. All righty. And then at the running back or at the flex, I'm sorry, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Guerrero, or Sutton at the flex.
Shoot. That Eagles defense is playing well. I guess Jonathan Taylor. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I'm checking out one other thing here.
I say Jonathan Taylor. They're playing the Titans. The Titans have announced that they're going to have not Will Levis playing quarterback. So I feel like Indianapolis, that game may set the sport of football back a few years, but I think that Indianapolis will be able to have the ball a lot. And so I'll take Jonathan Taylor, who, for all intents and purposes, should have had a much better week and scored a touchdown last week, but forgot that you have to actually carry the ball over the goal line.
Right. As much as I don't want to say Jonathan Taylor in this one, I think Jonathan Taylor is the answer here. Yeah, Guerrero, I don't know what that's. I'm going to be interested to see what that San Francisco team comes out looking like this week, right? Like you just saw some things kind of shake up, and the locker room seems to be having some issues and some things going on there. So I will be interested to see what that comes to play at, but I think I lean Jonathan Taylor at that one there as well. So, and Chris was saying that it is half point PPR. I don't know that changes anything on what I'm looking at there. So I would say that Ertz, if healthy, if not, I'm going to Njoku. And then it sounds like Alex and I are both in the Jonathan Taylor side on that one. So,
yes, sir.
All righty. And then Abreu over on YouTube, full point PPR, start 2, running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, Achane, Chuba, Pollard, Rashad White, Guerrero, Lamb, McLaurin, Darnell Mooney, Jamison Williams, Judy, also Hunter, or
is it Hurts? I think it's Hurts or Jaden Daniels.
I think that makes more sense. Yes.
All right, full point. Let's break this down.
2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, and a lot of really good options to play.
No joke.
Wide receivers, it's really easy for me. I'm going Lamb and McLaurin.
Yeah. Yeah. I would also say that I think it's pretty easy on the running back side too.
It's Devon Achane for sure.
Mhm.
I'd probably roll out Chuba Hubbard
Yep.
as my second there.
That's where I am.
If Pollard is fully good to go, I don't mind that one either.
New quarterback there too, so they're probably going to run the ball, right?
Right.
I still like Achane and Chuba. Like those two dudes have been pretty consistent all season long. And I think so. So I'm Achane and Chuba. Landon McLaurin.
Yep, we're in lockstep there on two running back, two wide receivers. So it's the flex, and the flex options are Pollard, White, Garendo, Jamison Williams, or Jerry Judy or Mooney. I'm out on Mooney, out on Judy. I want to see what the quarterback change looks like and what that truly shows up as before I'm going into that one there. So that pretty much leaves Pollard, White, Garendo, and Jamison Williams for me.
I think I lean White.
Okay.
If Pollard's not going to go. Yeah, I think I lean White there. I'm like not as convinced on that one. This is the harder part.
Yeah, and I think honestly on the flex, I'm gonna lean on the running backs side of that.
Yeah.
So Jamison Williams would be out on the flex side of it for me. So it leans Pollard, White, Garendo, and I think at that point I would order it up with Garendo, Pollard, and White is probably how I would rock and roll that. Any other thoughts there?
No, I'm good on that. And then for that quarterback, man, they're playing in the same game.
Right.
I like Jalen Hurts. He's been good. He's been good this year.
Right. And Philadelphia's defense has been pretty good, so the matchup is tougher on the Jaden Daniels side. So I also lean Hurts as well.
Yeah.
All right, Terrence asking kicker question: Butker or Reichart? Which one would you lean with?
You know, we did away with kickers in like every league I'm in, and I don't pay attention to them anymore. Is either of them playing inside?
Reichardt's at Seattle, and Butker. I think that's a Kansas City home game.
At home, it's going to be a little cooler. It's a noon Saturday kickoff. Don't forget, we got Saturday football this week, everybody.
Right.
I'm
going to go with Reichard.
I think I'll go Reichard too.
Yep.
Yeah. I like Reichard.
Terrence asking, are the Broncos still a must-start defense? Also roster Eagles.
I think they are. However, there's big however. I think this week I like the Eagles a touch more than I like the Broncos. Actually, I take that back. That Washington team's pretty good. I think they'll be able to move the ball okay.
Right. And they've got playmakers.
Yeah, I think I'll take Denver.
Yeah, I think Denver's still a top 10 defense this week. I think the Eagles just behind them on this one. So, yeah, I would still start the Broncos if the only other option is the Eagles at that point. And Broncos, still going strong and playing well there. So,
yeah, with a lot to play for. Playoff lives are on the line.
Absolutely.
However, it is a game that I will be watching. So they haven't done very well when I've been watching them of late. So
I like it.
Take that for what it's worth.
Terrence saying that they benched Adams and Brian Thomas Jr. for Cup last week, still leading the matchup by 3. That is fortunate, right? Like Adams had a monster day. Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr. had a monster day, and Cup goosed. So
yeah,
it's good to hear.
Thank your lucky stars, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite you here in the second week.
Absolutely. Abreu Kelsey or Strange? It's
Get Kelsey.
Yeah, it's a very popular
It is.
question tonight, and I
Third or
still
fourth
lean
on
the
the
Kelsey
list.
side of that one. So
It is close, but it's not. I don't think it's. I think people are starting to get sick of Travis Kelsey not living up to his draft position, right?
mhm.
And I think that's what's starting to worry people is that they had expectations and he's not meeting those, but he is still putting up decent numbers.
Yeah, I mean it's been rough, and when you're only averaging 8 points a game and a lot of like half point scoring,
Yeah,
and you're used to seeing Travis Kelsey averaged in the 15 plus points per game in that same type of deal, like rougher deal. And it doesn't help that that Noah Gray's been getting a lot of touchdowns out of there as well. So
yeah.
I still lean the Kelsey side of that. I get the allure of Brenton Strange. Certainly has had some good weeks when when Evan Ingram's missed, but even with that allure, I still am going to lean the Kelsey route on that one.
Yeah.
On the bus over on YouTube saying that they have to sit one Tyreek, Puka, London, Scary Terry. It says it's a 10-team league. Hold off some bombs, some bomb trades. So for me, it's London.
It's London too. I mean, simply because I don't know what Michael Penix. I mean, London's been not great with Kirk Cousins, and I just don't know how much London's going to see the ball.
Right. Yeah, I want to see what that looks like before I'm.
I will tell you though that's it's London, but it is not a comfortable London because man, that benching Tyreek, while hard, not unheard of this year. And like I said, if I'd have done it last week, I'd still be alive in all three of the leagues that I care about. So it's London, but it's not by a lot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Same page. Alrighty. And then Alex, you were takes down to the end of the questions. You were talking a lot about some of the changes happening. There certainly are some news, some notes happening here around the league with quarterbacks. Let's go ahead and dive into that real quick.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it when we were talking, some of these questions that we got, and if you got more, throw them in. We'll do our best to answer them. But we have the Falcons are going to have Penix moving forward. That he's going to be the starter moving forward. Mahomes is dealing with an injury, so we may have a Carson Wentz sighting in Kansas City, which I believe would be his fifth NFL team. I think he's on his fifth NFL team already. That dude was the number 2 overall pick. The Browns are going to start Thompson Robinson. The Titans are benching Will Levis. Now, I say that some of those, I mean, probably Mahomes is probably the biggest one, right? Like that's probably the one that people who are still alive are having to wrestle with. I think Carson Wentz is a decent pickup, right? Like that's what you're going to have to figure out. If you're a Mahomes owner right now and you're still alive in these fantasy playoffs, what do I, how do I navigate the absence of Patrick Mahomes, knowing that you can't make any trades anymore, right? Like trading is done and gone for most of these leagues. So you're going to have to hit the waiver wire. And if it's a single quarterback league, there should be plenty of quarterbacks that are still available that are established starters. But if you're in a super flex league, like I think most of the leagues that we deal with those pickings are probably pretty slim. So you're going to have to pick up a Michael Penix Jr. if he's still available, if the guy didn't stash him, right? Or you're going to have to pick up a Carson Wentz. I think those are, if you are in a pinch for quarterback this week, I don't know that I like Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think it's going to be Mason Rudolph in Tennessee, but they haven't actually said. ESPN's reporting that the Titans are going to make the switch, but they haven't said who who the starter will be, and I'm just gonna vamp for a little bit here while I go pull up Tennessee's depth chart, because I do think it will be Mason Rudolph, but I want to see the other quarterbacks that they have.
That's who I would think as well.
Yeah. It's Mason Rudolph or Will Levis, unless they're pulling somebody up from the practice squad. So,
right.
I think Carson Wentz is your best option if you are a Mahomes owner, or if you were riding the wave of Jameis Winston and you were able to sneak your way into the playoffs and you're still alive somehow. I think Carson Wentz is the safest one, but that's what, 4 teams that are going to have quarterback changes.
Right.
And then we're still dealing with an injury to Geno Smith, right? Do we know, how severe was that injury to Geno Smith that he suffered Sunday night? What are the Seahawks going to do at quarterback? What are the Saints going to do at quarterback? It's kind of unclear who they're going to roll out in this week. So they're on Monday night, right? So
and a couple of things to note there as well is that Patrick Mahomes did log a full practice today.
That's good. That is good.
So looks like Geno escaped like major knee injury, but it doesn't necessarily go into a lot of
what that means.
Right. So Sam Howell could be the starter.
Yeah. And I think there's probably a fair amount of Geno owners that are still alive too, because he was playing well enough that if you had constructed your team properly or caught some breaks along the way, Geno going down probably didn't help.
Right.
But yeah, I those are just things that, like, as we get down to it, and we are now probably in the semifinals or week 2 of your first round matchup, like, these injuries that happen late in the year, they suck. They happen. I'm dealing with it myself in the home league now. I'm dealing with a Alvin Kamara situation. I've got Kenneth Walker on my bench who's missed the last 2 games, right? Like, what am I going to do? So those are still the questions that, man, like these injuries that happen late. David Montgomery owners, right? What are you going to do if you're a David Montgomery owner? Because he'd been playing really well. The guy had 12 touchdowns. Like, he led that team in touchdowns, had 700 receiving yards, right? Or 700 something yards rushing or receiving. Like, he was very productive. The waiver wire will be essential this week. So I'll put it to you, Derek. If you are in need of a quarterback, where are you going first? With the assumption that you're in a super flex and there's only quarterbacks who weren't established starters that are available.
I mean, you're probably still looking like Mac Jones potentially available, right? Like that one there, probably wouldn't mind that one. Drake May is available in a lot of leagues, like, wouldn't mind going that route there. Cooper Rush available in a lot of leagues, like, those would be guys that kind of target there. I don't know that I get the allure of potentially trying to pick up a guy that you haven't really seen much before the season with like a Penix, not really looking to go that route. So it is kind of tough in those streets there.
Mason Rudolph looked good. He came in relief of Will Levis. He threw 2 touchdowns. Like, it's an established guy. There's no way he's been picked up on any teams.
Right. I mean, to be honest, I'd probably even take Aaron Rodgers is available in a lot of leagues. I'd probably take the Aaron Rodgers over everybody.
All right. Now let's talk running back. Because if you're a Monty owner or a Kamara owner,
Kamara is easy. You're going to pick up Kendre Miller.
You're going to pick up a handcuff.
you got an easy pivot there, right? Like Jamison or Jamal Williams, I believe still on IR. Yeah, you could go the Jerome Ford route. I don't know that. I think the DTR switch over hurts that tremendously.
I do too.
Tajay Spears, potentially out there in kind of about 50% of leagues. I don't know that makes much. That doesn't really do much for me there. Right. If Pollard comes back, you could potentially go the Alexander Madison route. I don't know that I want much in the way of Las Vegas's offense there, though. So, Kendre Miller would probably be the pickup if you got Alvin Kamara and you're dealing with an injury like that, and the uncertainty.
Yeah. So those are some of the places that we're looking when it comes to how we're going to construct our team. I'm kind of glad that Kevin's not on tonight because you'd get a lot of insight into what my team is going to look like moving forward. And I know that if you guys weren't with us when we started, Derek fell in the home league this week after a historic performance. I know that just means that a flippin' dud is coming. Like I'm gonna get 300 points and just be wiped. Like the floor will be wiped. Kevin's gonna wipe the floor with me. That's what I'm trying to say. After he gutted out a win in his first round matchup. So like you just know after a huge week comes a huge letdown. Like I'm already preparing myself for it.
Yeah. Whereas I'd had 4 like 500 plus weeks in a row, and you managed to get me. All right, a couple of other questions and comments in the chat. Let's go ahead and hit these up, and we'll call her a night here. Jordan over on YouTube saying Carson Wentz might end up with more Super Bowl rings than Peyton Manning.
I mean, stick around in the league long enough, go to enough decent teams. Well, people forget he was playing MVP caliber football when he got hurt in Philadelphia. Like he was the odds-on favorite to win the MVP that year, and he got hurt. And then they drafted Jalen Hurts, and it was over after that.
Right. Mario asking, is Danny DeVito the actor? Is that Tommy DeVito's uncle? With a laughing emoji there.
They're about the same size, right?
I don't think that's accurate. And I don't think that they're related, but I could be wrong. All right, Tyler, over on YouTube. If Sam Howell's the QB, goodbye every Seahawk. Those are my settings around DTR and the Browns.
Yeah, I think it's more so with the Browns than it will be with the Seahawks. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It's like DK was already kind of struggling with Geno. I mean, JSN was still producing, but yeah, it's going to be tough.
Right.
Maybe a Will Dissly kind of flies up the charts if it's Sam Howell there in Seattle.
Yeah, potentially. So, Tyler also saying, please don't say Penix that people are saying to start over Jordan Love.
No,
that's
not on this show.
That's going out on a limb there.
Tyler, if those people exist, which I'm not discounting that you heard it, you didn't hear it on this show. We are staying away from Michael Penix and that Falcons offense sans Bijan, right? Like we think Bijan will still get his. Right. Hell, Bijan might get 40 carries in this game. And we think that it is going to be a rough go for the Falcons over the next couple of weeks and Falcons players. And we could be entirely wrong, but I need to see it first.
Right. So yeah, I want to see it before I start buying into that.
And look, the guy played a lot of football in college. Well, he was in college for 9 years, basically. So like he's seen a lot of football. We saw how well that worked out for Bo Nix. It took him a few games to figure out the speed of the NFL game, but like he played a lot of football between Auburn and Oregon. Like the dude has seen some stuff. So
right. Penix is a kind of a more polished guy coming in, right? Played a lot of games, but there's a massive difference playing in the from college to the pros, and there's a big difference playing in practice versus playing game reps, right?
Yeah. And usually that guy's not getting first team reps either. So he's got to develop a chemistry with these receivers and figure out, hey, if this happens, where are you going to be? And that's hard to do in a week's worth of practice. We know that Kirk Cousins has been taking first team reps, right? Like that's hard. That's hard to build that chemistry.
Right. So, and then Tyler's saying that all they're saying is Hal is going to out throw Metcalf, who's 6'4". There is that possibility.
Does Sam Howell owe you money or something, Tyler? Like what's
he's got that high fastball going for sure. So, all right. And then Tyler saying that their main question though is thoughts on McMillan.
Go ahead, Derek. What are your thoughts on McMillan?
All righty. So with Jalen McMillan, I don't mind it. I think this week he's probably going to be in my QB4 or not QB wide receiver 4 type of range, right? Like I think that's probably about where we're looking, and when I'm getting into the rankings, all of that. And Jalen McMillan's been very touchdown dependent all season long, right? Like the games that he scores touchdowns, you get a top 24 outcome. Games that he doesn't, you're lucky if you get a top 50 performance there. So I don't know that that's going to change much here. They do have Dallas, so earlier in the season that would have been a probably a much more forgiving type of matchup. But Dallas defense has certainly kind of gotten better over the last couple of weeks here. So I
think Mike Evans eats this week.
So do I. But
if I recall correctly, and I have not gone and checked this, that Trayvon Diggs is out, I believe, for the rest of the year, or is at least missing time. So that's, I think Mike Evans eats again this week. Dallas without their top corner, Mike Evans, I think he eats.
Well, Mike Evans, right? You've got it. He's got that 1,000-yard streak on the line. He's about 251 yards away from it with 3 games left. Like I imagine that he's going to be a heavily
Baker is going
featured.
To look at him every passing play. Like every passing play, if he's even remotely close to being open, Baker's launching that football to him. Baker, I guarantee you, Baker does not want to be the quarterback who snapped Mike Evans' 1,000-yard season streak. I guarantee you.
But yeah, McMillan is going to be, again, I'm seeing him as a touchdown dependent, and probably going to be in a wide receiver 4 type of deal. And I get that he's, been 7 or 8 targets the last couple of weeks. But the last couple of weeks have also yielded 3 touchdowns out of that as well. Right. Like, earlier in the season, week 7 and 8, he also saw 7 and 8 targets there and put up wide receiver 50 plus for you. Like the targets, yes, I get can be there, but his fantasy production has lied in getting into the end zone. So if he's not getting in the end zone, those top 24 performances when he's 4 for 50, 5 for 60, 5 for 70, those scooch on down the road to the point where you're talking, wide receiver 30.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at on that one. Any other thoughts on this one?
Nah.
All righty. And then Tyler said, no, did you watch when Gino went down? Talking about the fastball. Yeah, they were certainly some throws that were
Sam Howell got a little in over his skis there for a second.
Yeah, the accuracy was being dialed in. Would be the nice way to put that one. So, Scott saying that they picked up Rodgers just in case, and now Geno might be out. Yeah, it's not a bad pivot if you're gonna have to pivot.
It's gonna be a week to watch the injury reports, that's for sure.
Yeah, and this one here, you've got quite a few of them coming through. So awesome. Well, guys, that's going to take us down to the end of the chat here. If anybody has any kind of final thoughts, let's throw them out there. Let's get those kind of rocking and rolling. But while we give folks a chance to try and type that out there, any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Good luck if you are still alive. Great season if it's done. There's always next year. I'm saying that to one of my teams. I'm riding hopefully riding a little further with two others. So, I hope you guys. It's a weird week because again we've got the game on Thursday, which we are accustomed to, but then there's two games on Saturday that involve a lot of fantasy relevance, right? Lamar Jackson, who just put up a 5-touchdown game, playing against Pittsburgh in what has been historically low-scoring affairs. The other thing that I think we need to watch out for, at least right now on Tuesday, is if your football team is playing in the northeastern part of the United States, it's going to be miserable. It's going to be cold. I don't know if there's any precip in the air for some of these, but man, is it going to be cold up there in the Northeast. So that could play a factor in some of these games and some of these outcomes.
Yeah, I would agree right there. Certainly kind of a lot of things there, right? Like this is that 1 week where you start getting matchups kind of all over the place and really got to kind of be dialed in. Not one of those that you check Thursday, check Sunday morning. Like there's those Saturday games are certainly going to kind of change some of that and get some things going. And then the following week, you've also got, games kind of all over the place that week. So something to also keep track of there as well. But we'll be back on Friday. Kevin and I'll be back for the fantasy football huddle on that one. And it does look like we had one more question come in here. Last call right here. Scott over on YouTube saying, any thoughts on Bretton Strange or Jerome Ford in standard? Bretton Strange is certainly the kind of the hot name tonight. I think you could potentially get a tight end one, a very back end tight end one type of performance this week. This is one of those that the matchup's a plus matchup. And you're maybe looking and hoping to get 5 to 6 points there. If he gets a touchdown, great, and that'll kind of zoom him up there a little bit. But if not, I think you're really hoping that he goes about 4 for 50, 5 for 60 type of thing.
Yeah, and on the Jerome Ford side of things, like I don't mind Jerome Ford. He's been kind of the guy here, certainly last week, and he found his way into the end zone. It was really one big carry that he had, because he only finished with 7 carries and 84 yards in the touchdown. So, you kind of take away the 62-yard run in the third quarter that probably does not have as good of a look to him. Nick Chubb's still getting the majority of those carries. At least he did last week in a pretty tough game against the Chiefs. So, if you could bet on Jerome Ford getting another 60-yard touchdown, I think you'd take him. But I don't know that you can bet on that. Right,
like that's I don't know, that Cleveland offense seems to, just seems to do better with Jameis in there, right? Jameis is a guy that he can win you the game, he can also lose you the game, right? And that's just what you get, right? And that comes with
40-40 club, right? Like if there is going to be a member of the 40-40 club, it's going to be Jameis Winston. That's 40 touchdowns, 40 interceptions. Like the guy could do it. He could do it.
He very well could, right? But with him not back there and the DTR experience there, I'm not a big fan of Jerome Ford this week. I know a lot of folks out there do like the matchup when it comes to it, right? They're playing at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been a little bit forgiving, especially when it comes to some of the running side of things. So it is a plus-ish matchup there. So I mean, you might be able to get a back end running back 2 type of performance there, just based off some volume, things like that. But I certainly wouldn't mind pivoting to other places if I could.
Yeah.
All right. And then we did have one more. This is going to be the last one. Akira over on YouTube asking, Ford is on the waiver wire. Should they prioritize getting him or the Colts defense? Currently have the Chargers defense.
Oh, I don't know that I would take the Colts defense.
Going up against Tennessee with a quarterback change.
Yeah, with a quarterback who's played pretty well last week when he came in relief.
Right.
And a guy who's been in the NFL. It's not like it's a rookie or it's, DTR, AOC. Like Mason Rudolph was a starting quarterback in this league for a while. Again, I don't know that you get a 62-yard touchdown out of Jerome Ford. Like, he had 7 carries. You take away that 62-yard run, which I get that. Like, you can't, but he had 7 carries, and without that 62-yard run, he had 22 yards. So 6 carries for 22 yards. That's not ideal.
Right.
Chubb's still kind of the guy there.
Well, Chubb also suffered a broken foot in Sunday's game.
So maybe it's Jerome Ford then. I totally missed that. I'm sorry. Yeah, and DTR. I wouldn't prioritize the Colts D. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, I think that there's several guys that you could, or several defenses that you could stream out there that I'd rather have the shot on the Colts there. I'm not a huge fan of the Chargers defense special teams this week, going up against Denver, right? Denver's managed to just kind of get the job done there.
That's a weird thing to say. That's still weird to say.
Right. If Cincinnati's out there, I'd rather play Cincinnati's defense over the Colts or the Chargers this week, but just kind of a thought there. But at that point, I would probably prioritize Ford over the a defense special teams for a waiver wire.
Yeah, give me. Yeah, that Cincinnati. That's like your best bet. If that's available, that's your deal. But yeah, give me Jerome Ford.
And then Akiro saying thank you, appreciate it. Terrence was asking, are the Falcons a better play than the Broncos this week? I would probably lean on that one, right? That Giants team. I think that we could see a very similar performance this week to what we saw last week against Vegas.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Alrighty. All right. And then White Tiger saying, sup, fellas? Not much, White Tiger. We are calling it a night. We are going to be back on Friday night, that kind of normal 11 p.m. Eastern, as we go live for the fantasy football huddle underneath those Friday night fantasy football lights. And Kevin and I'll be back doing that one. Only 2 fantasy football huddles left this season, right? We're going to do a week 16, a week 17, so that December 27th date will be the last fantasy football huddle for this season. Again, though, we do go live all off season. It's a year-round show, and we'll be going live all off season. Those off season shows get kind of funny, or get kind of fun and get kind of interesting as we kind of go into some of the off topics and some of that off season stuff. So it'll be a lot of fun. Be sure to tune into those. All right, White Tiger, you're the last one, official last call here. Real quick, need a defense, special teams, Colts, Broncos. I would lean on the Broncos in that case.
Also Broncos.
Okay. So White Tiger say bye, then bye.
Then bye.
All right. I like it. And Scott saying good show. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All righty. That's going to do it for us. I appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. Always a lot of fun to, get chatting with everybody and see all the questions, comments there. If you can do us a favor, wherever you're listening to this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe or follow button. Certainly helps the show out. And hopefully we'll see everybody again on Friday. And if not, we'll see y'all again next Tuesday when we go live. That's going to do it for us, though. He's Alex. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.